What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Guys, we got another this or that video today because I was looking at my sideshow order last night for my Kenobi Vader, and because I'm not going to get it before Christmas, I started to think, maybe I should put the dollars towards the Return of the Jedi Vader instead. Is it more iconic to me, personally, than the Kenobi Vader? So I've got some thoughts, and I want to compare the two, and then I might need your help here in the community, whether it's this or that, or both. Why? Why not? Stick around if you guys like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and let's get into it.
I give you Ben Thomas Showtime. Here we go.
Okay guys, welcome back. So today we're going to break this down in a couple different ways. First, we're going to look at the David Prowse figure first here from Return of the Jedi. Then we're going to look at the Hayden Christensen Kenobi Vader, of course, that we were all kind of hoping that we'd get by Christmas here, let's be honest. Then we're going to compare both together and try and decide this or that, maybe both. Why not? How does the price break down? How do the accessories break down? Or even just that gut check, that reasoning, that nostalgia behind why we collect that might help make your decision, might help make my decision, hopefully my decision. Because like I said, last night I was looking at my sideshow orders, trying to decide if I want to use the dollars from the Kenobi Vader for this one instead. So let's break this down a little bit first. So right now on the slide, we're looking at the David Prowse Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary figure. And it's absolutely a beautiful figure. Let's be honest here. Look at how ominous he looks on the left-hand side. Full Darth Vader mode, right? But then we get a chance to see that David Prowse head sculpt on the right-hand side. And up close, this is an absolutely stunning portrait of Vader. Now, when I think about iconic Vaders, when I close my eyes and think about what do I feel makes Darth Vader in my mind, it's not necessarily the actor who portrays him. Sometimes it's that Earl Jones voice, let's be honest, that powerful voice that he had, but it was David Prowse under the outfit, right? And I think about the original trilogy. When I grew up with these films and Star Wars, it was the original trilogy that I watched the most. As I got progressively a little bit older, the prequels came out, and while those movies were kind of panned at first for not the greatest acting, especially with Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, a lot of people really didn't like that portrayal of Anakin. Over the years, that film definitely developed a cult following, and now, of course, Hayden is getting his praises as Anakin Skywalker. People love him now, right? Especially when you compare him to the newer trilogy that came out in the last few years, which people really didn't like in terms of Star Wars. Now, also, shows like Clone Wars and Rebels, the animated versions, those really helped to establish the character of Anakin Skywalker and his journey and his transition into the dark side. It added a lot more context than those prequel films did. But again, we're talking about the David Prowse Vader here in front of us. So to me, why is this version of the character so powerful? Often we talk about how good Empire Strikes Back is, right? They're all good films. The trilogy, they're all great. But when the final scene happens with this Vader, when he decides to save Luke Skywalker, and he picks up the Emperor and self-sacrifices himself. You see him get electrocuted virtually to death as he drops the Emperor down the big hole, and then, as a result, dies, right? When you see Luke Skywalker kneel beside Vader, and this ominous character through these last, 3 films, right? Powerful figure of Darth Vader takes off his helmet, and you see that underneath it's a frail, old, sad man filled with regret, but hopeful as well. that his decision to sacrifice himself, kill the Emperor for the hope of the galaxy, Luke Skywalker, the hope, is there. And it's an emotional catharsis for the character that I think for me really stands out as a key moment in Star Wars, because it shows that even the worst of us, even the ones who go all the way to the dark side, can always find a way back because of love and hope. And that to me was always so powerful as part of Star Wars. And while David Prowse doesn't walk around like this in the movie, he would die as Darth Vader. Like, this is a very small scene. It's a very iconic one. So that helps with my nostalgia of why this character specifically, to me, feels very definitive as Darth Vader, because it tells the whole story. Now, it also makes me wonder, with these images, are we going to get a reissue of the Emperor again? I would hope so, because I don't have an Emperor in my collection either, which would be sweet. Now, this guy also comes with this really cool diorama display base, the railing. I like the stairs. I like the way it looks. And it has the lit up base where you can actually display both helmets that come with this particular figure. Now, I would say, I don't know if I would display this guy with this helmet other than maybe to take a couple pictures. So it feels like an accessory that may stay in the box for me, or put on the display base that it gives you that option if I wanted to, but it's cool, but I don't know if it would be more gimmicky than display worthy for me at least. But I like that this base gives us both options. Look at the helmet being lowered onto his head. Again, such an iconic scene. It would be cool to display this Vader literally turned backwards in your display, sitting down, just so you could see it like this. That could be really, really cool too. At least the picture for sure, right? And again, when he's powered up, he looks really, really nice. Everything he comes with here, I think, is pretty good. I like the severed arm. I think that's really cool battle damage. The David Prowse head sculpt for me is really the standout here, but I also love the outfit. Now keep in mind, guys, we've had a couple of Vaders available to us if you're a Hot Toys collector who's been collecting for a while. I know guys like Mario out there, El Profesoro. He's had figures, I'm pretty confident, of the New Hope Vader, the Rogue One Vader, the Empire Strikes Back Vader, the Kenobi Vader's coming. This one comes out later this year, 2024, I should say. So there's a lot of Vaders that are available to us. So I do want to know what to you guys makes the most iconic Vader. Let's look at the Kenobi Vader next, because let's be honest, Kenobi wasn't the greatest Star Wars show of all time, but it definitely had some really awesome key moments that really resonated with me and got me to click the pre-order button for this figure. And it happens to be in the scene where Vader is facing off against Kenobi, right? Think about it. We hadn't seen Kenobi and Vader really ever face off again until A New Hope, after the third film, right? At least in live action. And it was a face-off that we were all dying to see because of the way that the third film had ended, right? Seeing Anakin with his limbs chopped off, yelling at Kenobi, right? You know, I've got the high ground, Anakin, you know, don't do it, but he does anyways, and Obi-Wan has to take him out, right? But then flash forward, you get to see Anakin being put into the Vader costume. He finds out that his wife has died. You get that iconic no scene. Hopefully my interpretation of that is good for you guys. But it's powerful. But we don't get a chance to see a younger version of Vader powered up in the Darth Vader costume going after Obi-Wan Kenobi again until, as I said, Obi-Wan is an old man in A New Hope, right? Years and years later. So what would that fight scene look like? Kenobi series on Disney Plus gave us that fight. And when you see Obi-Wan with his lightsaber connect with Darth Vader's mask, and it exposes Hayden's face under there, it's the first time we get a chance to see that dark side behind his eyes, under the mask. And that pain and that feeling of anger, but also He's so powerful in this moment. And he says something to the effect of this.
Anakin's gone. I am what remains.
I'm sorry, Anakin. For all of it.
I am not your failure, Obi-Wan. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did.
How powerful is that scene, right? Like, it gives me the chills just rewatching that. It made me want this figure. It made me want that moment in my collection. But do I need that moment in my collection? Is it a standout performance? Is it a standout scene if I'm only going to have one Vader? Does it represent Darth Vader for me in Star Wars enough? I don't know. In terms of what this figure looks like, it's beautiful. I mean, look at the battle damage on the Anakin sculpt underneath there. It looks really good with the yellow eyes and the blood. You also get a chance to see how those same scars are going to transition to that David Prowse sculpt later, and I'll show you guys a comparison photo there. It comes with the battle damage chest plate, which I think is really, really cool looking as well. In my opinion, this particular Vader actually has more usable accessories than what the David Prowse version comes with. Because you got the full mask, you got that battle damage mask, you've got the normal chest plate, you've got the battle damage chest plate, the rock base if you go with that version, as well as a standard display base. There's a lot of stuff there that looks really, really good. It's also got those LED lightsabers, which is powered by USB with this version, which I know people have not totally loved being not bright enough, especially in comparison to CCFLs, but I still think it's cool that you got that option. Let's compare both Vaders now. These are, of course, let's call them the two battle damaged versions of these characters. We got the Kenobi Vader on the left, we got the Return of the Jedi version on the right. Both are really freaking cool. Really freaking cool. Now, once again, in terms of film iconography, the left-hand side, the Kenobi Vader, he's actually in a scene where he's battle damaged like that, but you can see Hayden under the mask in that show, right? Where, like we talked about with David Prowse, he's never actually standing being all that powerful without his helmet on like you see here on the right-hand photo. If anything, you gotta almost lay him down on the ground with Luke Skywalker propped up over top of him, right? Like, you're never gonna see Return of the Jedi Vader looking like this. If you put both masks on, so again, they're kind of the powered up version of Vader, I think they both look really cool. I never really realized until I displayed both beside each other how much larger the codpiece looks on the Kenobi Vader than the Return of the Jedi one. Clearly, younger version of Hayden cared more about his business down there than the older version does, I guess. I don't know. It's a little big, it looks like to me, but again, all of the suits have their pitfalls. All of the suits have their things that are a little bit different here and there. I do see that the Kenobi Vader does look like you can hook the lightsaber hilt on the belt. I don't know if you can do that with the Return of the Jedi version. I haven't seen it displayed like that. When you think about both likenesses to the actors underneath, they're both really good. It's really hard to display it. I think if you have an Anakin display, maybe you've got the Padawan Anakin, maybe you've got the light side Anakin, maybe you've got the dark side Anakin, maybe you even ordered that artisan Anakin, and you want to be able to display the transition of Anakin from, young Padawan, up-and-comer, hopeful Jedi version, through to his dark side progression, through to this angry Anakin on the left. I think that could be a really cool display, but that's a big commitment to Anakin Skywalker. Or if you just want one Vader in your collection. For me, the Empire Strikes Back version still really stands out because the bad guy won in that movie, right? He won. It's kind of like Thanos in Infinity War. The bad guy won. And everybody was like, oh my god, what's going to happen next? Very cool Vader, don't get me wrong. That's even the Luke, I am your father line, right? I mean, that's a great Vader. But again, to me, the Return of the Jedi version here on the right-hand side displays the full Vader journey, tells the whole story. And I think that could be the iconic version. But you can even see with the Kenobi Vader on the left, how the battle damage and like matches the scarring on the right hand side on the David Prowse version. I think that is such a cool detail. This is where I think you could technically display both. Like I said, if you got Padawan Anakin all the way through to Dark Side Anakin, all the way through to Kenobi Vader, all the way through to what he finally looks like at the very end film, that'd be one hell of a commitment to Vader, but it could be a really freaking cool display, so I can see the perks to that as well. In terms of everything they come with, I do think the Return of the Jedi version has a lot more accessories that I wouldn't use, at least for the most part. That glowing helmet, it's a little gimmicky. It's cool, don't get me wrong. I like that you can see the kind of the glowing skull underneath, but probably mostly for photos, then it would stay in the box. And while the display base I do think is cooler on the Return of the Jedi version, I often display my figures, like you see behind me, with no base at all. So I don't know if I would use that specifically. For the Kenobi Vader, I think everything you get in the box is usable. All of the display bits are really funky. The battle damage head sculpt, the battle damage chest plate, the swappability there. He's also that young, powerful Vader in that scene. Really, really cool. But guys, maybe it comes down to the price. So then I look at the price on Sideshow, and both are available still for pre-order, it says here, at least for the deluxe versions. The Kenobi deluxe version comes in at $330. The deluxe version of the Return of the Jedi is $15 more expensive at $345. So to be honest, a $15 difference doesn't help me make the choice. I think for me, it has to come down to the nostalgia of the character itself. And for me, I think, at least in my heart of hearts, I feel that FOMO, that fear of missing out on such a cool figure that's likely coming right at the beginning of the new year with the Kenobi Vader. But if I'm willing to be a little more patient, I also think that when we get the David Prowse version here, somewhere in the summer of 2024, hopefully anyways, maybe not later, maybe a little later than that, depending on release schedule, let's be honest, I think that Vader is going to be the one I feel like I missed if I don't choose it. But I can also see an argument for both. So guys, I would love to hear your comments down below. Which Vader have you chosen? Do you have all the Vaders so far? Have you been waiting for the most iconic one? To you, what is the most iconic Vader and why? What's a standout scene also for you guys? What is something that when you close your eyes, you think about Darth Vader on? Is that the scene that you're trying to capture in your 6-scale display? I'd love to hear from you, but for this today, we're going to call the Kenobi Vader this. We're going to call the David Prowse version that. So is it this or that or both or why? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you guys liked the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show. Thank you for all of the members joining the Tough Nut crew recently. I see you guys out there. You're all tough nuts and amazing to me. I appreciate you guys. If you want to get in on that, let me know as well, and we can get you set up. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you all. Have a great afternoon and a very Merry Christmas if I don't see you again.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.